towards us. So if you're down there at the front of the crowd line, make sure you've got your camera ready. This is a nice slow turn now. The aircraft's going to come past us, and this is in landing configuration, just above landing speed. So make sure you get a good photo of this one, nice close-up of GOSRB. It's also going to be operating the 727 you've seen here within its charter cargo business. So the aircraft is capable of delivering up to 24 metric tons anywhere in the world. Now that's the last we're going to see of the 727. Next up we've got the blades going to be displaying for us. I know many of you here at Cosford will have seen the blades display before. It's actually our 10th display season this year, so we're celebrating an anniversary year, so we're very excited to be starting that season here at Cosford for you this afternoon. If you haven't seen the blades display before, then you're in for a real treat. I'm going to talk you through it. I'll be telling you where to look and what's happening in the cockpit as the pilots perform all of their manoeuvres. Now, all of the blades are for the Red Arrow pilots. They all do before we introduce to you the blades.
I could see, it was just keep running up and up. Wait, this is wrong. This!
So if you look to the right, you can see the 727 flying in from the right hand side, just over the tree line there.
Planes off,
Coming at 270 knots there as it completes its final pass of the afternoon. Now, to celebrate the start of the 10th display season for the blades, we're going to be running a photo competition at Cosford here. So if you're taking pictures throughout the displays, then make sure you get some good shots of the blades. We have a new livery this year, and I'll be explaining to you a little bit more later on why we have that livery. But make sure you've got your cameras ready so that you can get some shots of the blades in action, and if you get some good ones and you want to...
Memorial flight is with us. Incidentally, I have a moment to say that I misidentified one of the BBMF fighters earlier. I said it was the Mark II Spitfire. So I can tell you a little more about the Flames TV DVD. You can order it with your mobile. You text the letter. Here comes the DC-3 under the trees. Look at that, isn't that smashing? Lovely rumble of the two horsepower each, quite big engines. It's a plane of many names, this. DC-3 Dakota, that's what we call it here. C-47, the US military name. By far the most widely used military transport in history. First flight of the DC-3 was in 1935. I did mention earlier, but the captain today, Flight Lieutenant Seb Davey, was the man who was flying the Lancaster when its engine caught fire. He and his crew managed to get that aeroplane down safely. They got the fire out, they got everybody out of the aeroplane, nobody was injured, the aeroplane was in one piece, and it will be flying again, probably later this year. So a big hero flying this DC-3 for us today, Flight Lieutenant Seb Davey. He saved the Lancaster. I asked him, had that not been a rather tense moment? He said, yes, you could say that, he said. When we got it on the ground, we all got out of the airplane, and then we all had a big hug. I found that rather touching. Anyway, he's doing a grand job for us here today. This aeroplane, she's actually in the colours of a Dakota of 233 Squadron around the D-Day period in 1944. If you're close enough, you'll see the name Quinchevichin on the front. It means stop complaining. It means what you think it might be. And also the letters UK. That's not to denote the nationality, but because her squadron ident, 5T UK, 5-Ter Uncle King, have been covered up by the invasion stripes on the tail.
I want to be him. Yeah. Man crush. And he's in there.
She was involved on the eve of D-Day in parachuting operations and also in resupply and casualty evacuation in and out of forward airfields in the combat area. So 71 years ago today as we speak, that's what she was doing. The female nurses who escorted the casualties on these flights became known as the Flying Nightingales, the predecessors of today's medical emergency rescue teams, the MERTs. By the end of 1944, more than 1,000 stretcher cases and 467 sitting wounded had been evacuated by the 233 Squadron Dakotas. And that's the colour scheme of this aircraft that we see today. Also with Seb Davey on board is the Navigator Wing Commander Mark McNulty and the Airload Master Richard White. And I think we may be able to see Richard White in the doorway. Yes, there he is. He's waving. Give him a big wave as he goes by. That's Flight Sergeant Richard White. Whitey.
And it's shot like...
So, rather than what the aircraft is marked as now, that's the real aeroplane, ZA947, built in 1942, delivered to the US Army Air Force, then to the Canadians, served in Canada and then in Europe. The Royal Aircraft Establishment of Farnborough bought it, used it for lots of tasks and trials, including dropping sonobuoys through holes in the fuselage and launching remotely piloted vehicles, UAVs we call them now. But all those years ago, that's what they were doing. She was adopted in 1992 by our Strike Command and issued to the Battlefield Memorial Flight in 1993, so she's always been in service, this aircraft, never became a civilian aircraft.
I did actually come round your place and watch it a few times.
I think this might be her final fly past, about 175 miles an hour, 150 knots.
Anyway, so last night.
Final growl from the Pratt & Whitneys. Lovely.
Thomas.
It's on our team
Big quantity washing machine from 27 Squadron. I just noticed that it's a Boeing CH-47, which of course is the same number as the DC-3, which is a C-47. I never noticed that before. You probably knew all that, but it just occurred to me. CH-47 and C-47, both venerable and very useful transports. It does nothing really to improve the aircraft's performance, whereas with a twin-rotor helicopter like the Chinook, you're getting all the power out of both engines and both rotors. So it's just a bit of kit, really. He's the man sitting on the left-hand side, or the left-hand seat, right-hand side as we look at it at the moment, and Flight Attendant Brett Jones in the other seat, and crewman Sergeant Davy Hay. So here is the display of the Chinook. Look at that steep climb upwards, and watch what happens when he gets to the top of the climb. It's a good push, and over the nose goes, and nose down into a spiral descent. Turn as they go out to our left, that's to say, pulling up and kicking a bootful of what would be the rudder in a fixed-wing aeroplane, yes, going almost vertically upwards, pivoting the aircraft round about that leading rotor. Roller coaster coming next, up and down, it's what it says really. Probably safer than doing it north of towers. It does look uncomfortable. Hope they haven't got any coffee around. Helicopters were hardly operating at all. And we have here at the Cosford show seen demonstrations of the emergency, the medical emergency, rescue teams, and there's a quick stop. Quick way of losing forward speed. Now watch this, a 720-degree Gaulian corkscrew. This is a way of rapidly getting out of a steep-sided valley. Gauli refers to Gauli Makuf in Bosnia-Herzegovina. The way to get out of a valley quickly to avoid gunfire. That's a Gauli corkscrew. And now a spiraling descent coming back down again. Big rotor blades, they're 60 foot in diameter. Nearly 4,000 shaft horsepower each, and as we were saying, the front one goes anti-clockwise and the rear one goes clockwise. So their crew is either two pilots or a pilot and navigator. Two pilots today, carry 54 troops, 24 stretchers, total of 12.7 tons. Another of those quick stops, and stopping with the ramp open, I think. And I think if you look, you can see, if you're close up there, you'll see the crewman, Sergeant Davy Hay, on the ramp there. He may even be waving, you never know. That ramp capable of taking small vehicles. Sideways down the runway. Strange undercarriage configuration, 4 wheels at the front, 2 at the back. Saying it carries 12.7 tons, but it can carry its own weight underslung underneath the helicopter on wires. It's the weight of 10 family cars. Another of those spiral descents. Now when they come back to the display centre this time, I expect them to do something that I think looks pretty much like a loop. But we'll see. Display centre is the orange pyramid thing in the middle of the field, which I can't see. They must have decided they don't quite have the height. Oh well, no, not quite. It's a sort of oblique loop going round in a very steep 360-degree turn. Cracking sound from it. They'd have to if they've got wheels. With skids you're rather more falling place. But I think Brett Jones is going to put the rear wheels down at least. Looks to me like they must be nearly down, but you can see better than I. It's airborne going backwards. Must be a lot of draft coming in through the back doors. I suppose while they're doing that. That's nice power from 7 smoking. Right there, what's there?
That was the best. Very impressive.
Next on your programme, James.
He's got to be quite careful. So, here's the aircraft rolling along in a normal way. It's a twin-engine aircraft, although it's only got one rotor.
You just follow everybody else. And then you have to do one at a time to go along with
It's coming down pretty fast now. It may sound to you like the engines are still on, but they're actually not. And the trick is to use all of that energy in the rotor to flare the aircraft. Stop the descent as he gets down to the bottom. He stopped quite early, and it's applied power now. You can hear that the engines are coming on. It shows you can do forced landings, engine off forced landings in a helicopter. So vertical climb and then a nose over like the Chinook. Turn right coming out of it.
From the British Army Attack Helicopter Force, based at Watcham Airfield in Suffolk, and all have experience on operations in Afghanistan. You'll be pleased to hear we brought...
demonstration.
Is it like a warplane?
Yeah.
Helicopter.
Gunship just destroyed the enemy that were holding out in a bunker using laser-guided Hellfire missiles. Now they can fly a rapid climb across the battlefield to assist the engagement.
No, the enemies are on the ground. Well, you won't because they're right on the other side.
From the high hover, the pair can confirm that the missiles were a direct hit. Gunship were just engaged from enemy firing points on the ground. The pair conducted a rapid descent to escape the threat and now setting up for engagement with 30mm cannon. To return to the target, the pair will fly a pedal turn. This This manoeuvre pitches the aircraft to 90 degrees nose up, and when the aircraft reaches zero airspeed, the Apache's powerful tail rotor will turn the aircraft 180 degrees about the centre of the main rotor blade to end up 90 degrees now, nose down.
A bit of a gunfire. Gun.
Look to your right now, watch gunship 1 tip into the engagement with 30mm cannon. Gunship, you clear fire.
How big is it?
Well, wait, you'll find out in a second. Watch that one there.
Gunship 1 on the right just destroyed the enemy with a straight run and now finds a 200 degree wing over to reposition. As they level out, Gunship 2 joins them from the left to fly in formation as a patrol. The British Apache is built in the UK by Augusta Westland. Operations in Afghanistan and Libya have proven that the aircraft is a battle-winning asset that can strike from both land and sea. It provides the UK with an expeditionary strike capability ready to deploy at short notice to defend Britain's interests. Captain Jim Traherne, flying Gunship 1, and myself joined the Army Air Corps direct from Sandhurst. Started flying training as second lieutenant. The Army Air Corps offers a wide range of opportunities for officers, including extended flying roles, maximising the time in the cockpit. You've now seen the Apaches use their full range of weaponry to help the Special Forces patrol hunt us to defeat the enemy. During the next phase of the display, I'll talk a bit more about the Apache's weaponry and capabilities as they fly low and close up in front of you. If you look above the main rotor blades, you'll see the dome of the Apache's fire control radar. This can detect 1,024 targets, prioritise the 128 highest threats to the crew, and provide firing solutions for up to 16 radar-guided fire and forget Hellfire missiles. Gunship 2 now pulls up and turns away from the formation and flies across in front of you to position to the left on the next for the next phase. Meanwhile, Gunship 1 is flying a turning quick stop manoeuvre to approach the hover to our right. The aircraft are showing off their hover performance. I'll talk you through the weapon systems on the Apache. If you look at the pylons on the outer part of the aircraft, that is where the Apache's rockets are stored.